Hi everyone, my name is Alan Landau and I'm the project lead on Nexus. Today I'm joined by Andrew Bertino and we're going to get you up to speed as far as what we've done pre-production cycle and where we currently are in the Nexus project. So as you can see, we're developing in UDK here. This is our second iteration of our first shell. A shell in UDK is more or less a level. And as you can tell, we're in a cave type environment here. For those unfamiliar with the project, Nexus is a third-person action-adventure game that centers around Chris Reynolds, who is a budding archaeologist, recent college grad, and more or less has come to this temple cave area to find his father, who also is an archaeologist, who happens to have gone missing underground. So, as we walk through this level, you'll see that we have already included some interesting events and really tried to make the level come to life and have a very cinematic quality. Our internal razor for this project is Uncharted 2 meets Marvel set in a national treasure type environment. Our main differentiator through this game is going to be this sense of power that Chris eventually stumbles upon. These powers are going to enable him to affect things at their mass level. So, for instance, we're going to have a push-pull mechanic, a mass transfer mechanic, and things of that nature. And we'll demonstrate those in this video as well as videos to come. So this shell is going to act as our initial tutorial area for basic navigation and understanding just general gameplay. I walk around, I'm exploring, I'm trying to navigate my way through the environments, using powers, and eventually it will include things as, like combat and decision making that will inevitably affect the course of the game. So as you can see here, we have a weapons dialog that pops up, which basically is just telling us which weapon we have selected, as well as when we highlight a physics object, we have the ability to see its mass and its weight, things of that nature, and we're able to manipulate those things. The three things that we really tried to focus on for this week's update were soul, which is just a pretty way of saying really getting some ambiance in the level. Having things like these water effects go on, or the lighting effects, everything from that to the cinematic events that happen. The second thing we focused on this week was, again, rebuilding the second shell. This is our second pass through on our tutorial level, and it's significantly improved from the first attempt. And we hope to continue to polish it and refine it. And the third thing we really focused on this time was incorporating the systems that we've developed. In previous weeks, we've shown initial powers and basic animations and art pipeline, getting our art assets into the UDK engine. But this week we really tried to tie all of those elements together and really get a cohesive experience going on. Now that you've seen what our current state is in UDK, we're going to take a step back and look at our process of how we got there at a higher level. The first thing I'd like to talk about is what the Nexus team likes to commonly call the design pyramid. The design pyramid is effectively how we go about designing and thinking about what we want to present on a level. This starts out by really trying to figure out two things. What is going on story-wise in a given room, and what purpose do we want this room to serve for? Do we want it to be a puzzle room? Do we want it to be a combat room? What is the general tone and feel? What do we want the player to really do in a given room? Then we go ahead and think, okay, how does it fit into the other elements that we've already created? We're trying to maintain a cohesive experience here and really make it highly cinematic. So we try and build all of our elements to flow into one another. So after we complete the design pyramid and lay out the level how we see fit, we go ahead as producers and we shell out the level. Now, shelling out the level is basically going in UDK and setting up the general shape of a given area. We do this by basically just either an additive or a subtractive method in UDK, and it just provides a very basic groundwork. Now, after we go ahead and do this shell, we, as producers, apply some basic textures to it to give it a little bit of a look and feel of whatever we're going for, in this case, a cave environment. After that, we hand off this basic textured shell to the artists, and they go ahead and concept out art for it, and knowing what a given purpose of a room is, they can design specific set pieces for any given area. So what you see here is the initial area of a cave that an artist has gone through and concepted, and then built out meshes, lighting effects, particle effects, all of these elements that then producers go ahead and go and implement into UDK itself, so we have something functional in the engine. This is another example of that same process. As you can see on the left, we have a very basic shell with some sample textures on the ground. To the right, we have the concept of what that area eventually would like to be. And then you have a near finalized, what we're calling a first pass, with lighting, some general meshes in there, and a little bit of feel and mood. So now we're going to go ahead and look at some of the concept art that our artists have created over the last couple of weeks. As you can see, we have some general critiques here in red line. This is some environmental work. This is a basic concept of our main character, Chris Reynolds. And eventually, at some point in the storyline, we're thinking about including an alien entity. So this is, because obviously that's not based in anywhere in reality, this is just general concept art of a wide variety of styles we could go with. This is some portrait studies that our lead artist, Scott Pellico, has gone ahead and done for our mercenary character. And what we've decided to do is, similarly to our shell design, we've gone ahead and decided to start our character development with a secondary character, not our main character. The reason we've done this is because just the sheer amount of learning that we gain, knowledge that we gain from the experience of going through the process of actually developing any of these systems in UDK, it's immense. So by going ahead and starting with a secondary character, we can learn through the process and then really hone all that learning when it comes to developing our main character, Chris. So as I mentioned earlier, our artists are able to create unique set pieces for a given environment. This happens to be the statue that will contain the Nexus power, which is a main cinematic element of our game. This is the first pass of our initial enemy character, which is just a simple boar. Here are some tree roots that one of our environmental artists did, and it really adds to the feel of the level. And some additional environmental objects such as skulls and ceramics. I want to thank you for spending the time to watch this video. I hope that you were interested by it and that you tune in later for more updates.